And I got to tell you, I love the district that I get to represent. I do. And you know what? There isn't a problem in America that doesn't come across our district. But also, it's some of the greatest people in America. Because I've got from Cincinnati to Portsmouth. So I've got urban, I've got rural.
A lot of suburban in the middle there.
Yeah, absolutely. and so to me, it's a joy to be able to experience right here in one little district everything America has to offer, because there may be problems associated with each one of those areas, like there is across the country, but there's also some wonderful stuff associated with each of the areas.
Now, that's something I want to talk about when we come back. Let's take one final break, because I want to pick Congressman Wenstrup's brain just for a little bit longer. Stay tuned. We got more of our special 10 a.m. community program coming up on C103. Well, welcome back one final time as I sit here and talk with Congressman Brad Wenstrup on your radio waves on C103. And Congressman Wenstrup, you brought it up very succinctly. You have literally every problem in America can kind of be boxed into your little district. You've got Cincinnati with all of its urban and Cincinnati problems. You have the suburbs of Claremont County and the surrounding area, and then you get further out with Adams and Brown and even into Scioto County. So let's talk about what that's like, almost a snapshot of America in your district, and how that affects the decisions you have to make.
Yeah, so one, you can weigh in on virtually every issue because it affects your district. You know, it's really fun in that regard. And I like I said, I get to enjoy every part of it. But let's just take healthcare, for example. That's probably a good one. And, you know, it was interesting, on Ways and Means Committee, there was a bill brought forward in committee to increase residency programs for pain management and addiction treatment. Well, that's Southern Ohio.
That's Southern Ohio.
If you've read the book Dreamland, and if you know what's going on with the opioid problem, we're right in the heart of that, right?
Yep.
And so I thought this would be great. But the bill, as it was written, was earmarked for like East-West Coast academic institutions to develop these programs. And I'm like, have you seen my district? You know, we need to be part of this, right? So we had an amendment that said, let's set these programs up, if we were to get this done, let's set it up where there's the highest mortality and morbidity. And I think we'd qualify, right? And so I start making the case for this amendment. We're getting fought on it, and I can't figure it out. And they're just fighting on it. Matter of fact, we had two people on the Democrat side vote for our amendment and then change their vote. Well, the chairman came to me afterwards, he's a good guy, a Democrat chairman, I'm Republican. He said, Brad, I've been under a lot of pressure, and I've been told don't take anything from the cities.
Wow.
And I said, wow, this doesn't take from the cities. This doesn't take from the cities. This just adds to both.
Yeah.
And you go where the problem is. And what we need in rural America are residency programs, because a lot of times the docs stay where they trained. Yeah. Because they've never maybe been exposed to it, and they like it so well. And so that was the argument. And then at the end of the day, the chairman came back and he said, you know, it's occurred to me that this is important to some of my members too. We have Terry Sewell, who is on now with me, the Underserved and Rural Healthcare Task Force. She's from Selma, Alabama. They are losing hospitals. Healthcare is diminishing. She's a Democrat. She gets it. We've got Danny Davis. He's a Democrat from Chicago. And he says, you know, in Chicago, we got everything. We got federally qualified health centers. We have large hospitals. We've got everything, but we still have people not getting care.
Yeah.
Underserved, right?
Yeah.
And then, so there's me, and then Jody Arrington from Texas, who represents a large part of rural Texas. We understand the challenges in healthcare in rural America. And so one of the things coming out of COVID, for example, is telemedicine and how it has helped so many people, especially in rural America. We also, as leaders on that task force, have fought through the stimulus packages to make sure that our rural hospitals are taken care of and provided some funds so that they can stay afloat as best they can, because everyone sacrificed a lot by shutting down.
Yeah.
And they weren't, especially if you're not seeing COVID patients.
Well, yeah, and that was going to be I was going to bring that up because I know Adams County Regional Medical Center, they may have a few ventilators, but they don't have like an intensive care unit, and they have to send people off, to other area hospitals to take care of that. And the concern was that they would be as taken care of as some of the other hospitals because they didn't have that capability.
Well, and at the same time, they were shutting down their elective procedures.
Yes.
So they weren't having the revenue, and this needed to be pointed out. And so, we were making a pretty strong case for rural America, and it's a joy to have that responsibility. But I got to tell you, through that argument and when going back to that committee discussion on the residency programs, one of the comments was, rural America can't handle this. And I said, well, that's one of the most elitist comments I've ever heard since I've been here. And I even said, you don't usually see me get as fired up about this as I am with this. But I finally turned to everybody and said, and let me ask you, have any of you ever started a residency program? Because I have, and I promise you, they can do it. And we can do it with Ohio University's Osteopathic Medical School. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to cross over. And when you're a resident today, you do not have to be at the same hospital each and every day. You can get in your car and be in Adams County, be in Scioto County, be in Highland County. Your training is today in many places. It's not just within one hospital. When I was a resident, we didn't deliver babies at our hospital, so we went with our doctors to the hospital where they delivered babies.
Wow.
So as part of our rotations.
Wow.
So it can be done.
Well, and it's amazing how you do try and balance the needs of rural America with the needs of urban America with Cincinnati, because they obviously had a much different problem, which was please don't overwhelm the hospitals, and making sure that the implements were in place to make sure that didn't happen.
Yep. That's important. Transportation for patients, all these things come into play. But I do remember a comment was, well, Cincinnati could be part of it. And I said, well, that's 3 hours from Portsmouth. And that's not easy for someone getting rehab and addiction treatment. Anyway,
that's a fair statement.
Yeah,
that is absolutely a fair statement.
So that's what we face, and I'm glad to be in the battle.